It's easy to pass them by, to drop one in a jar at the end of the day, to hand them to a cashier without a second thought. Yet sitting quietly among billions of their kind, ordinary and unassuming, are U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat pennies that could change your life. Imagine this: the 1984 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. Yes, the humble copper coin you've likely seen and held countless times can in rare cases be worth thousands of dollars thanks to minting errors, strange planchets, and transitional quirks hidden in plain sight. It sounds like a fairy tale for coin collectors, but it's true, and tonight we uncover how this unassuming penny became a coveted treasure. The 1984 Lincoln penny holds a special place in numismatic lore, largely because of an error that most people don't even see unless they know exactly what to look for. On the surface, it looks just like any other penny. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, solemn and unyielding, stares right as he has since 1909. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands proud, replacing the wheat stalks that graced the earlier pennies through 1958. But this coin hides a dramatic secret, one born of haste, machinery, and sheer coincidence at the Philadelphia Mint in 1984. It's a secret that auction houses and dealers have paid handsomely for when one of these flawed beauties surfaces. To understand the full story, we need to rewind almost a century. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909, commemorating Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person rather than an allegorical figure like Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original reverse bore two wheat stalks curving around the denomination and the words 1 cent. It quickly became a fixture in American pockets, and its familiar design, modest value, and sheer abundance made it a favorite for collectors just starting out. But the true magic of collecting pennies, as generations have discovered, lies in the anomalies. Coins struck in error, against the odds, and destined to stand out. Fast forward to 1984. By this time, the wheat design had long been replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, and cents were now minted primarily in copper-plated zinc, having transitioned from solid copper in 1982 due to rising metal costs. The Philadelphia Mint was churning out hundreds of millions of pennies that year, and at that scale, even the most meticulous processes occasionally faltered. The most famous error of 1984 was the dramatic double die obverse. For those unfamiliar, a double die happens when a coin's die, a steel stamp used to imprint the coin, receives an incorrect double impression during its preparation. Each coin struck by that die then carries a ghostly doubling effect, most often visible on the date, lettering, or features of the portrait. In the case of the 1984 double die obverse penny, the doubling is most obvious on Lincoln's ear. Collectors often refer to it as the doubled ear penny. Lincoln appears to have two distinct earlobes, an eerie but unmistakable marker of one of America's most intriguing mint errors. When the first 1984 double die cents began to surface in circulation, sharp-eyed collectors immediately noticed. What was this strange doubling, they wondered, and why was it so consistently prominent on his ear? Theories spread quickly through collector clubs, newsletters, and numismatic conventions. Soon, it became one of the most sought-after modern cents, and prices began to climb. In circulated condition, it could fetch tens or even hundreds of dollars. In pristine, uncirculated condition, the value soared into the thousands. Auction records show examples selling for over $3,000 to $4,000, sometimes more if the coin displayed exceptional luster and a clean strike. But the double die isn't the only reason to examine your 1984 pennies closely. This was also a time of transition, and unusual planchet errors occurred occasionally. A planchet is the blank metal disc that becomes a coin when struck. Occasionally, a leftover copper planchet from before the 1982 transition might have slipped through, creating a solid copper 1984 penny rather than the intended copper-plated zinc. These transitional errors are rare and extremely collectible because they document a mistake in the mint's switchover process. Dealers and collectors alike have paid hundreds or even thousands for authenticated transitional cents. Another quirk to watch for in the 1984 pennies is off-center strikes and broad strikes, where the coin is misaligned or improperly constrained during striking. While these errors are less dramatic than a double die, they're still prized among collectors, particularly when the date remains visible. And then there are die cracks, cut breaks, and repunched mint marks, all of which add texture to a collector's journey and can increase a coin's value if they're pronounced and dramatic. But what makes these coins more than just a dollar figure is their story. Imagine the sheer volume of coins rolling off the presses at the Philadelphia Mint that year. The noise of the machinery, the clatter of blank planchets sliding into place, the thunderous strike that transformed metal into history. In that hectic environment, a small flaw, a fraction of a millimeter on a die, went unnoticed, and hundreds, perhaps thousands, of flawed coins made their way into circulation. Some were spent at diners and gas stations. Some dropped between sofa cushions, and some ended up in jars and drawers, waiting patiently to be rediscovered decades later. For seasoned collectors, the thrill of the hunt is half the joy. Every 1984 penny is a question waiting to be answered. Will this one reveal the telltale doubled ear, or will it be just another ordinary cent? For newcomers, stories of finds like this inspire hope that treasure may be hiding in their pocket change. Consider the tale of a man who bought a roll of pennies at his local bank, opened it at home, and found a brilliant 1984 double die staring back at him. That one coin paid for his entire weekend trip and left him with a story to tell for years. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions have featured 1984 double die cents in their sales, often with fierce bidding. Dealers actively seek high-grade examples, paying premiums to those who bring them in. And coin grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these errors, encapsulating them in clear holders with their grade and error type prominently displayed, an instant badge of authenticity that boosts a coin's marketability and value. That it's not just collectors who benefit from these finds. Museums and educational exhibits often showcase such coins to illustrate the fascinating complexity of minting technology and the unexpected beauty of human error. Seeing a double-die penny under magnification is like peering into the soul of the minting process, a tangible reminder that perfection is elusive and that even in the most controlled environments, surprises happen. For everyday viewers, the lesson is simple but powerful. Don't overlook your change. Those pennies at the bottom of your purse or lining your car's cup holder could carry a story worth telling and a value worth more than you imagine. Collectors recommend checking each 1984 penny with a magnifying glass, focusing on Lincoln's ear first. If you see that eerie double lobe, you could be holding a small piece of history worth hundreds or even thousands of tonight. As you empty your pockets or clean out that old jar of coins on your dresser, take a closer look. You may not find a 1984 double die the first time you try, but every penny you examine connects you to over a century of American history, to the countless hands these coins have passed through, and to the thrill of discovery that has kept numismatics alive for generations. And if you do find one, share your story. Take it to a trusted coin dealer or submit it to a grading service. Join the proud ranks of collectors who know that hidden treasures still exist among the ordinary. Oh, there you have it. The surprising, hidden value of the 1984 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, a coin most people never think twice about. For collectors, it's a reminder of why we keep looking, why we keep learning, and why the smallest details matter most. For everyone else, it's an invitation. Look closer, wonder more, and remember that sometimes even the humblest penny can shine like gold. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more incredible numismatic tales, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another hidden treasure. And most importantly, check your change. You never know what history might be waiting in your hands. They say fortune favors the observant, but how often do we overlook it hiding right there in our hands? Imagine for a moment a 2018 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, just another copper coin rattling in your pocket, waiting to be spent and forgotten. But what if I told you that coin, that humble penny, could actually be worth thousands of dollars? Thanks to rare minting errors, unusual planchets, and astonishing transitional anomalies that slip by even the watchful eyes of the U.S. Mint. Tonight, we're going to uncover the hidden history and surprising value behind one of America's most iconic yet underestimated coins. The Lincoln 1-cent coin has been an inseparable part of American life for over a century. For many, it was the very first coin they ever held or saved. For others, it was the beginning of a lifelong love of collecting. And for some lucky few, it's become a life-changing discovery, a small copper coin that turned out to be a treasure beyond their wildest expectations. But how does a seemingly ordinary 2018 D. Lincoln penny fit into this story tradition? To understand, you first need to appreciate the legacy of the Lincoln cent introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The Lincoln penny was a radical departure from the coins that came before it. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person, designed by the renowned sculptor Victor David Brenner. For nearly 50 years, the coin's reverse displayed two elegant wheat stalks flanking the words 1 cent, earning it the beloved nickname, the wheat penny. Even though the wheat design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, the mystique of the wheat penny persisted, a symbol of an earlier era and a collector's dream to fast forward to 2018 at the Denver Mint, where the iconic penny continued its long journey through American pockets and piggy banks. While by this time the wheat stalks had long since vanished from the design, a handful of collectors began to report unusual 2018 D. Lincoln cents with bizarre traits. Coins struck on unusual planchets. Coins with doubling so pronounced it almost looked intentional. Coins where Lincoln's profile bore an eerie shadow, clear evidence of a double die obverse. How could this happen? You see, in the bustling heart of the Denver Mint, with machines striking billions of coins per year, it's inevitable that mistakes occasionally slip through. A double die occurs when the steel die used to strike coins receives two misaligned impressions during preparation. Every coin that die produces carries a telltale doubling effect, most commonly seen on the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's ear and profile. For 2018 D pennies, the doubling has been noted most dramatically on the date and on the letters of Liberty, giving the coin a ghostly, otherworldly quality under magnification. Then there are the planchet errors. Every penny is supposed to be struck on a copper-plated zinc disc, but occasionally a blank intended for another coin sneaks into the line. A foreign planchet, intended for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign denomination, sometimes ends up struck as a penny. These transitional and off-metal errors are among the most sought-after anomalies in modern coinage. One 2018 D penny was discovered struck on a blank intended for a dime, giving it a silvery hue and slightly undersized diameter. It was authenticated and certified by PCGS, and at auction, it brought in nearly $4,000. And let's not forget broad strikes and off-center strikes, where the coin is struck outside the confines of the collar that normally gives it its perfect round shape. In these cases, the penny emerges stretched, distorted, sometimes with the date intact, and sometimes not. High-grade examples of these errors from 2018 D have traded hands among collectors for hundreds of dollars each. But perhaps the most famous and coveted among these modern errors is the double die obverse. Collectors and dealers still remember the sensation caused by earlier double die cents, like the legendary 1955 and 1969 S issues, which can bring tens of thousands of dollars at auction. So when sharp-eyed collectors began reporting similar doubling on 2018 D pennies, excitement rippled through the numismatic world. Even though the doubling on the 2018 D isn't quite as dramatic as those mid-century legends, it is unmistakable to those who know where to look and incredibly valuable when found in pristine, uncirculated condition. For collectors, the thrill of discovery is just as important as the value. One Colorado man, an avid roll searcher, shared his story of going through a $25 box of pennies he'd picked up from the bank. Hours into his search, he spotted something strange. A 2018 D penny with a date that seemed to shimmer, almost as if it were etched twice. He held it up to a magnifying glass, and his heart skipped a beat, clear doubling on the obverse. He sent it to a grading service, which confirmed the error and assigned it an MS-65 red designation. That one penny ended up selling for over $1,800 at auction, a remarkable return on a penny he paid face value for. Auction records for these coins show consistent demand and climbing prices, especially for high-grade examples. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and even online marketplaces like eBay have hosted spirited bidding wars over 2018 D error pennies, with some crossing the $2,000 mark when two determined collectors square off. For coins with multiple errors, like a double die on an off-metal planchet, the prices rise even higher, often breaking into the mid-four figures. And what makes these coins even more intriguing is how young they are. Unlike classic rarities that have been hunted for generations, the 2018 D error pennies are still being discovered, still waiting in circulation for the next sharp-eyed collector. It's a reminder that you don't need to go digging through ancient collections or rare coin shops to find treasure. Sometimes, All you have to do is pay attention to the coins that pass through your hands every day. The Denver Mint itself is a fascinating backdrop to this story. Established in 1906, it has churned out billions of coins, with the familiar D mint mark standing as a proud symbol of Western craftsmanship. But even with more than a century of expertise, the mint is not immune to human error, mechanical failure, or sheer happenstance. And for collectors, those flaws are what turn a mass-produced object into a one-of-a-kind prize. For those just starting out in the hobby, the 2018 D-Penny errors offer an exciting and accessible entry point into the world of numismatics. It's a chance to own a rare piece of American history without spending a fortune. And for seasoned collectors, it's a reminder that the hunt never ends, that even modern pocket change can still hold surprises. The key takeaway here is simple. Always check your change. Every time you handle a penny, especially from 2018 with that D mint mark, take a closer look. Inspect Lincoln's ear, the date, the letters of liberty, and in God we trust. Look for that strange doubling, that misplaced metal, that off-center strike. And if you find something unusual, don't dismiss it. Get checked out by a professional grading service. Even a small error can mean a big payday. For many, these coins are more than just money. They're pieces of a larger story, connecting us to the people and processes that shape our currency. They're proof that perfection is an illusion, and that sometimes it's the flaws that make something truly valuable. Tonight, as you empty your pockets or sort through that jar of pennies you've been meaning to cash in, pause for a moment. Hold a penny up to the light and ask yourself, could this be one of the rare ones? Could this humble coin carry a secret that the mint never intended? If you enjoyed this story and learned something new, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more fascinating tales of hidden treasures, and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss another discovery. And most importantly, keep looking, because somewhere in some pocket or drawer, another 2018 D-Penny is waiting to tell its story to someone who knows what to see. Keep searching, keep wondering, and remember, even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. You've probably handled one 100 times without a second thought. A Lincoln penny, coppery, worn, tossed into a jar, or slid across a counter. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking pennies, say a 1987 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, could actually be worth thousands of dollars? Thanks to rare minting errors, unusual planchets, and even astonishing transitional anomalies, some of these overlooked coins have become prized numismatic treasures. Tonight, we're going to reveal the surprising history and hidden value of a coin you might already have in your pocket, and why you should start checking your change a little more closely. The Lincoln penny is an American icon. Since its debut in 1909, it's been more than just a coin. It's been a symbol of thrift, history, and even quiet nostalgia. Generations of children collected wheat pennies in blue cardboard folders. Soldiers carried them into war. Families tucked them into jars, as if saving pennies might someday make a dream come true. Designed by Victor David Brenner to honor Abraham Lincoln on his centennial, the pennies reverse bore two graceful stalks of wheat curving inward, a simple yet beautiful design that came to define the so-called wheat penny. That design ended in 1958 when a Lincoln Memorial replaced on the back, but the term wheat penny has lingered, affectionately applied even to later dates by collectors who see any pre-1989 penny as special. Which brings us to the 1987 D. Lincoln penny, a coin many might not even consider worth keeping. By 1987, the U.S. Mint in Denver had struck billions of pennies in its long history, and the wheat reverse had long been replaced by the memorial. But despite the penny's familiarity, something remarkable happened in 1987. Sharp-eyed collectors began noticing peculiar examples of the year's Denver minted cents, bearing strange doubling, odd planchets, and unusual shapes. To the casual eye, they looked like mistakes. To the experienced collector, they were gold. How do such errors even happen? To understand that, you need to picture the Denver Mint itself, a vast industrial temple where billions of coins roar off the presses every year. When you're striking that many coins, even the smallest lapse, a misaligned die, a slipped blank, a misfed planchet, can lead to errors. In 1987, a few key types of errors slipped through and created some of the most sought-after Lincoln cents of the decade. Perhaps the most famous is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die itself, which impresses the design onto blank planchets, is incorrectly manufactured with a second, slightly off-center impression. Every coin struck by that die carries the doubling. On the 1987 D pennies, you can sometimes see in the date, in the word liberty, and even in Lincoln's ear, a ghost-like echo of his profile that seems to shimmer when you tilt the coin under light. Such doubling was reminiscent of the legendary 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, which shook the hobby when it emerged and still sells for five-figure sums today. While the 1987 deep double dies aren't quite as dramatic as their 1955 forebear, they remain a coveted prize among collectors, especially when found in uncirculated, red condition. Then there are the planchet errors. Every U.S. penny since late 1982 has been struck on a copper-plated zinc blank, but from time to time, a stray planchet mint for a foreign coin, or even a blank left over from before the transition from bronze to zinc, can find its way into the press. One of the most famous 1987 D errors was struck on a transitional bronze planchet, giving it a richer tone and slightly heavier weight than its zinc contemporaries. Another example was struck on a dime planchet, producing a Lincoln cent that was silver-colored, underweight, and undersized, a rare off-metal error that sold for over $3,000 at auction. To imagine a penny being struck on the wrong metal is like finding a rare book printed on the wrong kind of paper, something that never should have happened, and yet did. And then, of course, there are the dramatic striking errors, broad strikes, off-centers, clip planchets. One Denver collector found a 1987 D penny struck so far off-center that only half of Lincoln's bust appeared on the flan, with the other half spilling in an empty space. Such coins are a visual testament to the chaos of high-speed minting, and to collectors, they're miniature works of accidental art. High-grade examples of these 1987 D errors have fetched hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction, depending on their severity, and I appeal that it's easy to forget that even at the height of 1980s efficiency, the mint was still subject to human oversight and mechanical fallibility. In Denver, the presses churned day and night, the great machines hammering zinc and copper into billions of pennies destined for soda machines and store tills. And yet, among those billions, a handful slipped through carrying these little secrets, hidden anomalies waiting for the right person to spot them. Stories from collectors add to the allure. A retired machinist in Wyoming recounted finding an off-metal 1987 D penny while searching through rolls from his bank, a penny that gleamed silver instead of copper. It turned out to have been struck on a foreign planchet intended for a 10-centavo piece. Certified and graded by PCGS, it brought him over $2,700 at auction, a remarkable windfall for someone who simply likes searching coins as a hobby. Another collector found a double-die 1987 D in uncirculated condition, sent it in for grading, and later sold it privately for over $1,200. These aren't million-dollar coins, but to collectors and enthusiasts, they're a thrilling reminder that treasure can still be hiding in plain sight. Auction records tell the same story. While most 1987 D pennies are worth only face value, those with significant errors command serious premiums. Heritage Auctions has sold several certified off-metal and double-die specimens for between $1,000 and $4,000 each. Stacked Bowers regularly lists error 1987 D pennies in their online sales, where bidding can be fierce among those who specialize in modern errors. And eBay remains a bustling marketplace for lower-grade examples and dramatic off-centers that hobbyists can add to their collections without breaking the bank. For seasoned collectors, the 1987 D penny is a lesson in persistence. After all, it's easy to dismiss modern coins as uninteresting, but as these rare errors show, every year has its secrets, and every roll holds potential. For newcomers, the 1987 D is an accessible challenge, a chance to hunt for a modern rarity without needing to raid your retirement savings. And for everyone in between, it's proof that even a coin as humble as the penny can still carry mystery and meaning. Perhaps what makes these discoveries so satisfying is the sense of nostalgia they evoke. For many Americans, the penny was their first experience with money, a coin to save in a jar, to press into a gumball machine, to slip into a wishing fountain. And even as the penny's role in commerce has dwindled, its place in our imaginations remains strong. To find one of these rare 1987 D errors is to reconnect with that childhood wonder, that thrill of possibility. So what should you do if you want to join a hunt? It starts with looking, really looking, at the pennies you already have. Pull out that old jar of change, buy a box of rolls from the bank, and grab a good magnifying glass. Check the date and mint mark. Look at the word Liberty at the date at Lincoln's profile. Does the lettering seem doubled? Is the strike oddly off-center? Does the color or weight seem unusual? Any of these could be clues that you found something special. And if you do spot something strange, don't spend it. Get it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. The cost of certification is a small price to pay if your penny turns out to be one of the valuable ones. Tonight, as you empty your pockets or sit down with that jar of coins that's been collecting dust on the shelf, remember this. Every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth more than you'd ever expect. That 1987 D penny you're about to toss into the change jar? Look closer. It might just be a rare survivor of minting history, a quiet little treasure that's been waiting all these years for someone to notice. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating looks at the hidden side of American money. Hit the notification bell so you'll never miss another tale of discovery and wonder. And most importantly, keep looking, because somewhere out there, another 1987 D penny is waiting. And it just might be in your pocket tonight.